Hey, deserving listeners, 90 Day Fiancé, let's watch. My name is Dr. Kirk Honda. I'm a therapist and a professor. As I always say, everything that I'm saying is completely speculative based on very little information that the show provides us. Let's watch.
Get married so I can move to Russia and be with her. But before I go, I need to pick up my last paycheck. I recently quit my job doing door-to-door sales for pest control in preparation for the big move.
Steven, hey, good to see you, man.
Hey, another pest control fella. Wasn't Brandon of Brandon and Julia a pest control person? Maybe we might have some parallels there. Who knows?
What's up? I am a decent salesman, even though I don't support killing bugs. The reason I don't like killing bugs, as a kid, I was playing in the street one day, and my friend, he had a bicycle, and he ran over this ant hive, and I went up and I looked closer at the ants. The ants were carrying away the dead bodies back into their tunnel. I just felt such compassion for them.
That's totally fine. When he says he's selling pest control, but he doesn't like to kill bugs, that's interesting. And then for him to say that he has compassion for animals is actually a really noble thing, I think. Umberto actually is like this. If he finds a spider in the house, he'll do everything he can to shepherd the spider outside of the house.
As a Mormon was like, I'm in danger. In Russia, we have only one religion, is Russian Orthodox, and my mom thought that Mormons steal people's organs and sell on the black market.
It's interesting that there would be this prejudice, maybe, but at least in this family, that not only are Mormons a cult, but they are a sort of cult that steals people's organs and sells them in the black market. I wonder if that's propaganda from the Russian Orthodox Church, who probably considers Mormons to be a threat, because I think Mormons do travel to Russia to prophesize and to convert people. And so, I don't know, but there's often propaganda that religions will say about other religions to keep people from going to those religions, because on the surface they'll say they're trying to save people's souls. Underneath everything, they're trying to gain power and money through their congregation and contributions from the congregation. Who knows? But if I were there with that family, I would say so. That's not shown in the data that Mormons will steal your organs and sell them on the black market. But you should be wary, because the Mormon community is pretty specific. It's not just like going to church on Sundays. It's a full lifestyle. Your friends are somewhat dictated by it. The things you do in life, the things that you can and cannot do. It's a pretty all-encompassing religion. And you should know about that before you get into it.
Посещают меня мысли, а просто тебя еще пока не посвятили, может быть, в какие-то там тайные обряды, то есть они замешаны в каких-то международных скандалах, потому что, возможно, даже они там и торгуют людьми, я не знаю, может быть, там сейчас вот это вот донорство черное.
Now, maybe I'm unaware of the data, but the mom seems to be quite sure of herself that Mormons are involved in selling people. Maybe is that a thing? Comment below, let me know. But I haven't heard that, but I'm not up to date on those sorts of things. I find it much more likely that this is some sort of internet conspiracy theory. But like I said, even if we put aside the conspiracy theory, there should be some concerns. You should know what you're getting into. If you're Alina's mom, you should be like, do you know what he wants to convert you, and do you understand what that means in terms of lifestyle? Are you prepared for that? Does Alina even know what those things are, or is she going to bump into them at some point and be upset? Or more likely, Stephen is going to try to convert her, because he's going to Russia. But they're going to Turkey first, but then they're going to go to Russia. It'd be hard for Stephen to stay Mormon or to convert her. How would that work? Would he? Is there a place he can worship in Russia? I don't know. Anyway, let's continue watching.
I decided to ask Steven to explain everything about his religion. He suggested me to read the Book of Mormon together, and I attended church lessons that made me feel comfortable and not so scary.
That's good. Certainly one aspect of being a Mormon is to read the materials and to go to congregations and worships. But what I would recommend that Alina do is talk to a variety of members and ex-members and get a full picture of what it's like to live the lifestyle of a Mormon. Because, like I said, it can be fairly all-encompassing. Now, for some people, it is a casual thing. Their involvement with the Church of Latter-day Saints isn't all-encompassing. It doesn't dictate all their friends. The Church of Latter-day Saints is all over the planet, and the practices vary quite a bit, and among community, among individuals. So I would recommend that she talk to members and find out, okay, what's it like day to day, and then some ex-members saying like, you should watch out for this.
Even if my family doesn't support my decision, it is my decision to make. Должны доверять в первую очередь мне, потому что я доверяю Стивену. Я думаю, она пройдет просто замечательно.
Нельзя быть ни в чем уверенной.
I will say that I agree with the parents, and if I were the mom, I'd be saying similar things. You have only been in person, I believe, if I remember from last episode, 2 weeks. A total of 2 weeks in person. And particularly in the beginning of a relationship, trying to gauge someone over video chat and texts is really difficult to do, as exemplified by this show. We have seen so many instances where the couples will have, 2 to 4 weeks of in-person and maybe a year or two of online relationship, and how instantly it's realized that they are not compatible. Stephanie and Erica comes to mind. Rose and Ed comes to mind. There are many relationships where it's like right off the bat, it is not working out. So this is wise of the mom to say like, and if I were the mom, I'd be like, look, you're in love and I respect that. And I trust you that you can gauge him. Could you just take it a little slower? Like go to Turkey, give it a few months but don't agree to get married. Just date, just take it slow. You're young. You have a lot of years ahead of you. You don't have to get married right away. That's what I'd be trying to say.
Это было неприятно.
А такая ситуация была единственный раз или, может, это...
Да нет, довольно часто. Вот он рассказывал мне, что там где-то случайно смотрел фильм и уснул в доме его подруги.
Это очень странно.
All right, so looks like we're running into a similar situation with Brandon and Julia. Maybe a little bit more so, obviously, because with Brandon, he hadn't even seen his friend who was a woman for 5 years or something. But for Steven, he is more involved with his female friend, and this is challenging to Alina, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with Alina saying, I wonder what's going on. But often on this show, we will see people, particularly from some cultural pockets, where they will assume that it's that Steven's up to no good and that women and men can't be friends, which is just one of the dumbest ideas I've ever heard. I mean, I just find that to be so stupid that women and friends can't, heterosexual women, heterosexual men cannot be friends. What? Like, and you hear these things, like in When Harry Met Sally, this notion of like, oh yeah, the guy will always want to have sex with her. What? Like, now, does that happen sometimes? Sure, but it's impossible. I have a lot of female friends. I have a lot of women friends, for sure. Heterosexual women who are, really good, dear friends of mine. I can't be friends with them without constantly, and I've been friends with them since I was, young, like in teenage. Even I have a friend who's a woman who I met in preschool. She was actually one of the first co-hosts of this podcast, Lita. Anyway, so maybe we're running into that situation here.
Один раз он вообще у меня спрашивал разрешения встречаться с другими девушками.
То встречаться с другими девушками в плане как свидание?
Well, now that's different. I mean, having a friend that is a woman is one thing. Asking her if he can date other women, we'd have to hear the backstory on that. Stephen doesn't seem like a D-bag, so I'm guessing what's happening is he thought maybe they were broken up and they would never see each other again. I don't know. Let's get some detail on this.
When Steven asked me if he can date other girls, I just burst into tears because he's in a relationship with me and he have to pay attention only on me.
И будучи в отношениях, он позволяет себе хотя бы даже думать об этом. Это вообще нонсенс для меня.
Yeah, so we're going to have to get more details on this. On one hand, you have he's a D-bag and he's trying to control her and he's trying to have his cake and eat it too and all this kind of stuff. On the other hand, there's some very logical explanation that, you know, for example, he thought they would never see each other again and he said, you know, I think, you know, we're never going to see each other again. I think it's kind of pointless of us to be in an exclusive relationship when we're never going to see each other again. Is it all right if I start dating because I don't know what else to do? Or some other story like he's into polygamy or something, which of course happens in some small Mormon, slivers. I don't know, let's watch.
Но также против он утверждает, что он очень сильно меня любит.
А если не верить на слово и просто проверить? То есть есть много разных способов проверить человека на верность.
Кстати, да, есть же даже телепередачи, связанные с тем, что парней вот так вот, девушки их проверяют, они нанимают специальных актрис, которые...
Oh no, tell me that this is not where they're going with this. Often when I hear the friend suggesting something, I'm like, surely, you know, like when Jen suggested to Libby that Libby just get a babysitter and lie to her husband, the father of her child, that someone is coming into the home. And I thought, well, surely Libby isn't going to agree to that. That's absurd. You wouldn't lie to your husband and bring in a stranger into your house to babysit. You're certainly valid in wanting a babysitter and a nanny for sure, but you don't just lie to your husband about that. So it's certainly fine that Alina is worried or concerned, but to hire someone... So on one hand, let's say this is often a dilemma. Let's say you catch him and he does actually cheat or something. Then you can say, well, I violated his trust, but I don't care because I found out he's a D-bag and I don't want to be with him anymore. But let's say that he passes the test. Well, if he learns about it, because he will now if he's watching the show, then what a massive trust violation. Just imagine that your spouse right now, your partner, hires someone to do this to you or hires a private investigator to hack into your phone or more commonly, you actually break into their phone or their computer and look at their emails. Just imagine what that would feel like to you. It would feel, it's a huge trust violation and not okay.
Которые пытаются соблазнить их парня и таким образом проверяют его на верность и на флирт.
Попробовать со Стивеном. Ведь если он на самом деле такой хороший, как ты в него веришь, как ты нам рассказываешь, что ничего такого критичного не случится.
Не знаю даже, как.
Просто сначала трезво подумай.
So I'm a little disappointed. She's saying, I don't know. Maybe she's just being polite. She's thinking no, but she's saying, I don't know, to be polite. But if she truly doesn't know, that's disappointing. I would hope that she would say, no, I'm not going to trick my boyfriend, my potential fiancé, into, doing something like this because I'm not some kind of evil doer. Evil doer. I'm not someone who wants to violate his trust that way. Now, I often, have this talk about jealousy and about attachment security. It is totally normal that Alina, and her friends by extension, are questioning whether or not Steven is for real and questioning Steven's personality and what he's capable of doing. Totally natural because they have almost no experience with him. Alina has almost no experience with him. 2 weeks. He could have been cheating. They've been online dating, online talking for a year. He could have been cheating the 50 other weeks out of the year. She wouldn't know. How could she know? that's normal. There's no solution to that really, at least within the bounds of morality. You could hire a private investigator. You could hire someone to trick him. That's not moral, in my opinion. That's lying to someone. It's deceptive. It's a trust violation, invasion of privacy. And so what I say to people is that ambiguity and that question mark will always be there. I talk about this sometimes, with my wife. I completely trust her, but there's a chance that she's cheating on me right now. I can't see her right now. There's a chance that she's cheating on me, and I have to live with that question mark. I have to wonder, well, it's possible. How if she really set her mind to it and wanted to deceive me, then she could do that. And stranger things have happened in the world, so it could happen. But I have to be willing to live with that, and I have to also live my life on a path that builds more and more trust. Me and my wife have never cheated on each other, and don't have any indication of cheating on each other, and do a lot of things to indicate that we care about each other and we are thinking about each other's feelings in a variety of venues, including this one. Like if I won't go into details, but anyway, point is well, I'll give a detail. Like we're at a dance club and a woman asked me to dance, I would say no, even though I wouldn't think of it as a flirtation, but I wouldn't want to challenge my wife's, even though I'm sure she'd be fine with it, honestly. But stuff like that, we've spent the years and years and years that it takes to incrementally build trust with each other. And so at this point, I'm positive that she's not cheating on me, or at least as positive as one could be. And so that's something that you build over time. And in the beginning of a relationship, like they are, it's normal to have question marks because you'd be irrational not to have questions. It is rational to have question marks because you just can't know. That's why long-term relationships are something that you build. That's why trust is something that you build. It's not something that you manufacture by hiring a professional.
Но для меня это очень сложное решение, потому что it feels like very sneaky. I want to believe in him, but maybe it's a good idea to make sure that I can trust him.
Yeah, I just don't understand why they don't, she's saying it feels sneaky. Okay, let's investigate that a little bit more. Why does it feel sneaky to you? It's because it is sneaky. It is a violation. It is lying by omission. You're deceiving. The question you should ask yourself is, would my kindergarten teacher want me to do this? Meaning your kindergarten teacher teaches you at the age of 5, don't lie, don't deceive, tell the truth, be good, be moral, be nice, treat other people like you would want to be treated. And it's obvious that your kindergarten teacher would not want you to do this. So the reason why I talk about the building of trust is that in the beginning of a relationship, it's normal to have a question mark. You would be stupid if you didn't wonder, well, I don't really know this person. But you have to be able to live with that and say, well, that's just the way that it is. And I won't know until we cross various different milestones. I won't know if I can trust him until I have enough time with him. I won't know if he really loves me until I have enough time with him. I won't know if he wants to be with me forever because people say that in the beginning of a relationship, then they rescind that. That's happened to me in my past. How do I know? Well, it takes time. We can't rush those things. You can't just swipe right and have it magically work out. You've got to put in the time. And you have to be okay with the fact that there's a question mark until you cross those milestones.
You're kind of getting ready for baptism. I just want to make sure we do things the right way. Chastity is a commandment within the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saint. And if she wants to be baptized, the bishop may frown upon cohabitation before marriage. And I think for now, I want to play it safe.
Right, so that's totally mainstream for mainstream Mormons and shouldn't be surprising to Alina if she were to really know what Mormons are like and what she is in for. So the fact that she is surprised by this and seemingly disgusted is fine. She can have that like, what? We're going to stay in separate apartments? That's ridiculous. But he's been Mormon from the beginning, and so I wonder if we're running into that problem that we see in the show sometimes, where people come from completely different cultures, just ignore the fact that they're from completely different cultures.
And get two separate places. It'd just be for that first month or two, and then once we got married, then we could live together.
No, that doesn't work for me.
So she can totally assert that. She can be like, no, I don't want to do that, and I want you to change your mind. So that's totally fine that she wants that. And now they have to enter into a cross-cultural conversation where he's like, this is my religion, this is my culture, this is how important it is to me. For you to ask me to do something different would be extremely difficult for me to do. I don't think you understand that. Maybe I have to explain fully what my relationship with my church is. And Alina can say, well, I don't know if I want to do that. And then they can decide whether or not they want to be in a relationship together.
How about I can stay at your place just the first night? I can sleep on the couch over there. And then the second night, I'll go over to the hostel and you can see how you feel when you're by yourself.
Steven, don't you think that it sounds stupid?
Yikes. Now, she's totally fine by having this preference of, I don't want to do that. And it's totally fine if this is a deal breaker. Totally fine if she wants to be convincing. But to call it stupid, like, this is his religion. Yeah, it'd be the same as if Rebecca said to Zied, your religion is stupid, which I don't think she used that word, but she would imply that sometimes. And it's just part of that upsetting aspect of the show sometimes of this. Not only am I, are people surprised, oh, you're from a different culture. I'm surprised by that, even though you shouldn't be surprised. And two, that you just can't cope with the fact that someone else has a different culture and has a different idea of what morality is and what is acceptable to them. To put him down, it's interesting. I think we're starting to see a dynamic here.
I'm not gonna leave my home and my country to come to Turkey and just be alone.
I already have reasons not to trust him because he see other girls like spend a lot of time with female friends.
So yeah, I mean, that's a huge thing. He asked me if he can go on dates with other women, for sure. Now, I'm wondering if he was asking, could I hang out with my female friends? They're not dates. It's like I'm going to a movie with them, but it's not a date. Maybe that's what who knows, but we haven't had a clarification on that. And totally fine. If that's a deal breaker, if you're like, look, if I'm going to move to Turkey, I'm not going to live in another apartment. That's ridiculous. Totally fine. Deal breaker for you. But to call him stupid for following Mormon religion right down the middle, and really it's common to a lot of religions, including, I'm guessing, Russian Orthodox, maybe not mainstream, but I'm sure there are Russian Orthodox individuals who don't want to live with people prior to being married. So it's worrisome that she has that attitude. And let's see how Stephen reacts to it.
I just am afraid that if we're living together, we might accidentally have sex. Потому что ты очень сексуальная. And I think you agree with me that I think we want to wait until marriage to have sex.
Again, nothing wrong with that. And there's nothing wrong with her preference, but it's important that they listen to each other and understand each other. And this is the reason why I'm worried is because if she's having a problem with this, like, I'm guessing that if he gets his way, if he asserts his wishes about them living the Mormon lifestyle, then there's going to be a lot of things, a lot of adjustments that she's going to have to make, and this is the first one of those. So it raises red flags as to whether or not they're truly compatible for each other.
For me, the hardest thing about my religion has been the law of chastity, and it's just something that I am very tempted by, and it's something that I have struggled with.
Can you elaborate on that?
All right, so he's talked about how he has struggled with the law of chastity in his religion, which I'm guessing means that he's made some mistakes according to his religious law. Maybe he cheated on her, maybe they had sex in the past, him and Alina. Let's hear what he says.
Are not endorsed by the church, and those are things that I did. We can talk about this more when we're in Turkey. And for the first night, I'll stay with you for sure, okay? And we can kind of talk about it then.
Okay.
Okay, pinky promise.
We'll see.
Okay, so there's nothing wrong, obviously, with people making mistakes according to their religion and figuring out a way to persevere. It looks like that's what he has done. I'm a little concerned about their dynamic here because her attitude is one of discomfort or disdain or disapproval, and he is trying to please her. So I don't know. It's just the first time we've seen them interacting. Maybe it's not an indication of their relationship, but I'm a little worried.
I'm planning to tell Alina about my past because it's something she definitely deserves to know about. But when she finds out, I'm afraid that her trust in me and her faith may be unrepairable.
And as usual, you should probably tell people before you make them move to another country. They're both moving to Turkey. So you probably should tell them, this strategy of like, well, I don't want to tell them before we're in person because they might break up with me. It's like, well, what? It's like you're a car salesman. It's like, well, I don't want to tell them that there's no engine in the car because if they know there's no engine, they might not buy the car. That's not okay. All right, well, that does it for that episode. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel or liked this video or hit the bell for notifications or commented, you can do all those things, which is great and, gives me self-esteem. Or not, it's totally up to you, completely, totally up to you. And everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.